try to highlight in terms of the current market sentiments and the mood in the industry, and going forward, what are the outlook for the industry that you are predicting?
Super, thanks. We've had good growth. You've seen we've had 33% growth in the industry. We've gone from 56 or $57 billion to close to 70 billion, which is a great achievement in a declining market globally. We've also clocked 20 billion in terms of exports, which remains at 30%, and that gives me to believe that the China plus one or the India plus one strategy is playing out, in our favor. The more we invest in technology, the more opportunities we're going to be able to capture. And that's exactly what's happening currently in the Indian auto component space. The spend on R&D is still at a very, very low level, I would say 0.5% for the industry, going up to almost 1%. Globally, it's 6%. So we really need to focus on more investment in R&D, more investment in future technologies. And what's encouraging is that we're being exposed to a lot of that by way of what's happening globally and by way of the fact that we're able to capture more export market. When you look at investment in technology and new technologies, you need scale. And scale is really what's available outside of India when you look at it, electrification and all the other stuff that comes with it, whether it's telematics and connectivity, etc. And therefore, the opportunity to export is huge. We saw yesterday at the ASEAN conference also, the ministers pushed on the fact that we must create more exports. As really going to be the driving force for success in our industry. And we're geared up to do that. We're geared up to supply to the electric vehicles. We're seeing rapid increase in electric vehicles in India as well, even though it's just a small 3% overall. Two-wheelers are growing fast. Three-wheelers are almost all new three-wheelers will be EV, and then that'll be followed by other vehicles, and then alternate fuels is a big play as well. It's a great opportunity. In the auto component space, we see the ecosystem as being a great opportunity as well. So whilst we will see the whole component space, we'll also be able to see the ecosystem around the component space, and you're hearing of people getting into battery technologies, charging, etc. Further to that, I think we really need to look at our industry not as automotive but as mobility. And when you say mobility 360, it's about mobility because everything that moves is now going to have similar components to what the car will have. So if you look at bots, if you look at drones, and India has been very forthcoming in terms of, or the government has been very forthcoming in terms of all the schemes towards PLI. And this morning, Mr. Kant also announced 26,000 crores on auto components. I think 18,000 crores in batteries. You've got FAME 2, you've got FAME 3 that will come. So if you look at the entire gamut, it's almost 60,000 crores that are being allocated towards us investing in future technologies. And with those investments, will come the growth of the auto component. So I think we're at the inflection point.
Yeah.
It's commendable in terms of the fact that we've grown 33% in this last year, and we expect this kind of double-digit growth to continue going forward.
Mr. Kapur, is there a dilemma of sorts when we speak about adapting to changes, but we also speak about sustainability with competitiveness? What do we mean by that? How are we going to focus when there is so much of change?
Yeah, so I think everything that's happening, you've got to look at it from a sustainability lens. Whether it's clean energy, when you look at electrification, always the conversation goes towards all the coal that's being used to fuel that electrification. So all that has to change and evolve, and it is happening. You've seen, in India we're investing in green hydrogen. There's so much conversation about all the investments that are going in green hydrogen, etc. So the entire supply chain and the value chain has to become more sustainable. And we're seeing this happen very quickly. These are not sort of things that will happen overnight, changes, but small steps will create the large changes that we're looking for.
Yeah. Hi, this is Flexion from PTI. How many of your members are still associated with the digital technology? And yesterday we heard about the actually pushing for doing away with the digital technology. So if those sorts of developments come in from an eco point of view, what kind of implications can it have for your
So I would say that it's very in line with what the market is. Okay, you can't sort of go away from the fact that let's say a company, an OEM, if it manufactures 70% diesel, and I'm not going to take OEM names because we're not here to do that, but then the supply base of that OEM will be involved in diesel engines. However, with the evolution that's happening, and we've seen, the auto companies. So if you ask me how many of our component companies are ready to supply to EV, I'd say 100%. I'd be close to 100%. What is the dependence on ICE? I think it's a matter of what component you're supplying. When you talk about the fact that there are engine components, there's alternate fuels. I don't think engines are going away anytime soon. However, what's increasing is the software. So if you take away 30% of the vehicle being ICE or engines, you think 40% will be software as well. So there's a great opportunity there. So again, to answer your question very briefly and to the point, it's really dependent on what the market requires today. And as that evolves, the industry will evolve as well. And we've seen that happen with regard to electrification. It's not like we're left behind and we're importing. Our imports, in fact, have dropped. What you saw last year, we had a $700 million surplus. This year, we're almost even. But 2 years ago, the trade deficit was 2 billion. So, coming from there, you can see that there's a lot of localization happening in terms of technology.
The reason why I asked this question is yesterday we were speaking to the Maruti guys. They said that their passenger vehicle percentage of diesel has come down gradually from 52% now to 18%. So as that happens, for you also the numbers of members who were earlier supplying those diesel technologies have they also come down or how is
Our membership has grown. I think they're evolving. They're evolving their technology. As technologies change, we're being exposed to newer technologies. And I said this in the morning also. We've had technology shows with OEMs. We've gone out to Japan, to the UK, to Israel, etc., to look at what's happening in terms of disruptive technologies, which is becoming mainstay in the automotive industry.
China has just taken over Japan in the automobile sector. How do you see that evolving with reference to India and competition in ACMA as a component?
I think that India has a very bright future as far as exports is concerned, and we are going to, the impetus that is there is high. The order book is large, so I don't see a challenge at all.
Because why ask this question? Because both the countries are price sensitive in their product. So where do you see you getting an edge over China?
I think the world is changing. It's gone beyond price. It's more, it's more the whole value proposition that is there, the product that you supply, and that's changing. And the China plus one story, or as we say, the India plus one story is here.
So what's happened is that look, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years ago things were different. What's happening now is because of the regulatory environment that we are into today, because of huge changes in the safety regulations on the emission front, our vehicles today are at par with global vehicles. That's opening door for sort of export opportunities for us. And that apart, globally, the de-risking is playing very, very, very strongly. So this may not reflect today because the ecosystem that's there in China is probably 10 times that of ours. Their component industry is $550 billion. We are just about 70 odd billion dollars. So, and mind you, please try and understand that the whole thing started, the economy growth started for them 10 years ago compared to us. They started liberalizing 10 years before us. So these times they're a little bit ahead of us, but we are absolutely, absolutely with the world changing, with the war now, with the electric mobility coming in. I think there's a lot of change in the whole perspective of the world, and that's going to help India big time.
I just add one final comment to that is the geopolitical aspect of things. The fact is that anything additional that's happening, India is being looked at very favorably, and that's not just in our industry. You'll see it across industries. In Apple, case in point, Foxconn, etc. Everything that's additional. So people are not going to pull out of China because that market size is large. The volumes of vehicles sold there are large, so you're not going to pull out. However, whatever has to happen additionally, OEMs, and in fact in ACMA, we work very closely with what we call IPOs, International Purchase Offices. from tier one suppliers as well as from OEMs. They're actively sourcing from India. What's also going to happen, which is going to play to India's advantage, is the fact that traditional industries will slowly, fizzle out in the West, and all that capacity can move to India. So that's another big play for India. So we need to look at it from that perspective.
I may ask an additional question. Do you see the chip getting a good support in India, chip manufacturing for the automobile component, though that is not directly related, but that is integral part of the automobile sector?
So look, during the pandemic, we were 7% of the global consumption of semiconductor chips as an automotive industry globally. Today, we're up to 15%, and I think we'll go up to 20% because chips are going to keep increasing in a vehicle, but chips are also going to increase in other electronics. So the chip industry is going to see a great, great opportunity in terms of growth. Anyone who can put up semiconductor chips, it'll be phenomenal. I think we're also at the tail end of the technology when it comes to automotive, so we need to also evolve from a technology perspective, and therefore we need to look at what the opportunities are. As capacity increases globally, I think this chip problem will stabilize. However, I don't feel that in the long run we will not go through cycles because chips are going to increase in everything that we do. So there will be cycles, and capacity will, and it's a natural it's a natural phenomenon.
One question, Sanjay. Global aftermarket opportunity, the network of 20 odd billion. Indian industry, the component industry, and community in terms of opportunity. One of the reasons could be that perhaps because of the clauses and contracts that you have with OEMs, are they was that posing a hurdle? And right now with the new regulations and all, is it making it easier for Indian industry?
So two things, Sumantran. One, of course, globally, the size of the aftermarket is as large as the OE supply market. Okay. And you rightly pointed out is that at this juncture there is no regulation that supports opening up the aftermarket for us. Okay. While we are very, very well begun, the Department of Consumer Affairs has started something called Right to Repair, and that is something really very, very good for an aftermarket perspective. That apart, ACMA has joined the Global Alliance for Right to Repair, and there are about 18 or 20 countries in the world that as an alliance we are trying to push for evolution of the aftermarket through Right to Repair. And thirdly, very, very recently, we've commissioned a study with Ernst & Young on studying 30 markets, 30 markets, and we will do a funneled approach and probably identify 10 top markets with maybe 10 odd top products that are, great opportunity, including sort of market footprint, distribution, names and stuff like that, because ACMA is very actively involved in promotion of aftermarket exports. You know it very well. Every single month we engage in an international exhibition to showcase our capabilities in the aftermarket, and by and large, without meaning any offense, the margins in the aftermarket are better than the OE supply. Okay, so a lot of people, it's also not very easy for a new person to get into the supply chain. So a lot of people first do the aftermarket, gain the experience, gain reputation, and get into the OE supply chain. That's a very stated way of doing business in our industry. And I think with, as I said again, the regulatory things getting favorable, and with us again helping industry to map out markets, we will sort of, and aftermarket anyways is probably one of the fastest growing segments in our industry, and it's very, very vibrant. So yeah, and we are working with the government on standards as well, so that should also weed out a lot of non-standard players. Yeah, we will come back to you with maybe another 3 or 4 months with more nuggets on the study, of course. Yeah, thank you for asking that. And while we are on the subject, I also mentioned to you that today in the session with Mr. Piyush Goyal, we'll be launching a study on auto electronics localization, would you like to say something? And then I could give some numbers on what we're going to talk
The
about.
numbers, yes.
So the numbers here are that in the aftermarket space today, the market opportunity currently is anywhere between 8 to 10 billion US dollars. And because of what Mr. Sunjay Kapur mentioned earlier on, the way the industry is transforming, the way newer regulations are coming in, we're talking about ADAS, we're talking about driver assist, we're talking about V2X, and so many newer things are happening, entertainment, telematics. All this is leading to a very significant opportunity, market opportunity, and we believe this market is going to grow 9x to 10x in 1032. Understanding is this market could be as large as anywhere between 70 to 80 billion US dollars. That's the market opportunity.
For automotive electronics?
I'm talking about only auto electronics. I'm not talking about any other entertainment or home electronics or whatever, or security or whatever. While there is security electronics, so that's also. That apart, there's a huge opportunity. Dovetail is the software opportunity, the embedded systems opportunity. So somebody had asked about how will we transform, and somebody said tier ones, but there are many, either a lot of our tier ones and then tier twos will get into the software space, or we will embrace a lot of people. Somebody said, are your markets, are your numbers dwindling in terms of membership? So we will embrace other non-automotive players into automotive because they'll be doing automotive software. And then, so this is the way, and of that, we believe at least 50% of that opportunity and the market opportunity could be a manufacturing opportunity. The manufacturing opportunity not just to supply locally to the OEMs but also for exports. So I think that'll be a very valuable delivery from ACMA to the industry at large, trying to look at auto electronics, because with EVs, which are nothing but electronics, so this will be a helpful document. We've identified 20 products that are low hanging fruits and can be quickly localized, and one of the key recommendations of the study is that if we could look at creating clusters, dedicated clusters for electronics manufacturing, so that you have a contained and a conducive ecosystem at a location, and I'm sure. And this ecosystem or this cluster would not just be sort of dedicated to the auto electronics, because as in semiconductor space, we would be one of the consumers of electronics at large, and the ecosystem would cater to a larger section of the industry. And I think there are many states that could be takers for it down south. We have many states that are active in attracting, including one of the neighboring states here. So, yeah.
Vinnie sir,
Yes.
what is the revenue contribution of diesel engine component providers?
Oh, that's very difficult. I can probably, it's because my problem is, I can track by HSN, and I would not know. The engine code remains. I'll have to do a little bit of a homework for you to. So commercial vehicle would definitely be completely diesel. We've not yet. I'm talking about, say, most of the MHCVs would be, because there is a little bit of a reform happening at the entry level and they're becoming electric, but by and large still a lot of the commercial vehicle would be diesel, while buses are moving to CNG and electric, but also buses at the state levels are diesel. So from a there is a significant market. At least the commercial vehicle is completely dominated by diesel. Cars, there's a lot of shift that's happening. We know Hyundai exited, we know Maruti exited. Yeah.
So for the next 20 years, let's say,
Yes.
time period, do you think they will continue to exist?
So if there is no economically viable solution at the commercial vehicle levels, we do not see a very fast transformation, unless of course there's a new technology that comes and we're able to produce loads of hydrogen at affordable cost, and that could probably be a game changer. But at this juncture,
The other mic.
yeah, go ahead.
Vinny and I are fighting for the mic. Tomorrow we won't be. I think this is very regulation driven, right? This is regulation driven, consumer driven, and if I asked you in 2016 where do you see EV, you wouldn't see it where you see it in 2023 globally, 2016, 2017, 2018. So whilst we're talking about diesel engines today, is it clean? Is it not? This clean tech is going to play a big role, not just from anything else, but from regulations and consumers as well. So I think this is an answer. We can't say 20 years from now what's going to happen. The world's going to change. With autonomous, level 1, 2, 3 autonomous is achievable today. 4 and 5, maybe in a few years. And it'll happen overnight, so rapidly. And the other opportunity, is sensors. The other opportunity is, again, cybersecurity. What role is cybersecurity going to play in vehicles? It's going to play a huge role. So the whole software. I mean, today the electronics industry is, according to what the association told me, is only $30 billion, their industry in India. Was that correct, Vinnie?
Which one?
$30 billion electronics. So,
I want to say it's not.
yeah, so that's what I heard in the association meeting. So, the fact is that, like Vinnie said, there's a huge opportunity for them to play in our industry and us to play in theirs. So,
Mr. Kapur, regarding the imports, last year we had a trade deficit of, as you said, $200 million.
surplus.
No,
Oh, this financial year?
Yeah,
200. Yeah,
700, and now we are negative.
200.
What is it between April and August?
We don't have the numbers. The government has to publish numbers for me to come in.
One more question
Yes.
regarding this green hydrogen technology.
Yeah.
What are the opportunities for companies?
That's the big answer. The answer that we do not know, we'll go. Otherwise, when we don't know, we'll give
So, I mean, it's early days, but as it evolves, of course, So the thing about the component industry is we are very adaptable. As the technology will evolve, as regulations will evolve, so will we.
One question over here.
Yeah.
We've been discussing about the stringent targets of 100%, 100 USD billion opportunity for exports on the components front
Like
for
even
20,
yesterday.
and then the
Yeah.
25% of the export
Yeah.
target for vehicles. Just wanted to understand in terms of capacity augmentation and process standardization, which has been spoken of quite greatly. What is the as-is situation, and how much of a thrust do you need will be needed on that direction?
So your question is what? How much investment do we need to go to 100 billion? Is that what your
If
question
you
is?
can quantify it.
That
yes.
was your question, right?
If you can quantify it.
So we can't quantify that number. I
Right.
mean, you've got 827 member companies.
Yeah.
We've clocked 20 billion, given the fact that we have grown 5.2% in the last year on a 70 billion, which is 33%. So we obviously have capacity that we've grown 33%, from last year.
The PLI is going to drive
So,
capacity.
just to give you a sense, we've never fallen short.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that should answer your
Yeah, so
question.
you never would have heard the vehicle industry complaining that they are not going for want of components.
Right, absolutely.
That's
why I raised the question.
never happened. But also, what's very, very interesting is that I do not know about $100 billion. That number was thrown at us yesterday, and
Yes.
we've taken it in the spirit of it. And maybe Madam Shradha's in her tenure, we will show very good performance.
And the new punching bag is Both
Both
sides.
All the best to you.
No. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the PLI scheme, there are 64 auto components, 67 auto components that will get the PLI. And the minimum criteria is that you have to invest 250 crores.
Right.
So the bare minimum investment that you can expect of the PLI is, forget what is committed, but 67 into 250 is a short shot.
16,500.
So that's not a small number,
Right.
So there is definitely, and look what has happened. Forget the PLI. The OEMs are talking about enhancing capacities. Okay, they are buying old plants or investing in. Maruti talked about more lines to come in. Hyundai is talking. Ashok Leyland is talking. Every OEM is talking of increasing capacities. Now, when their capacity is increasing, it is but natural as an opportunity for supply of local components, and our capacities will go up.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So there's a bit of a phase lag, because at least when they are coming into production, we are 100% ready. At least 18 months on before that, we have started investing, so that when they are on production, we are there supplying to them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
One last question on the
Sumit
MSME
will
bill.
kill me. Yeah.
Yesterday, you all raised the challenge you all are facing with MSMEs in terms of financially empowering them to
Yes.
reach these targets. A word on that, on how do you all plan to handhold them?
So it is going to be a challenge. It's not easy, and the world is very, very competitive. Okay, but what we are trying to do is one. ACMA, and this is as of last week, ACMA has got empaneled with the MSME ministry to conduct lean programs into MSMEs, okay? Because we were only limited to our members, now we can go out to a larger ecosystem and help them. What I'm trying to say is that one, of course, there's a financial, and there are a lot of instruments available today. SIDBI does a lot of easy loans, and what do you call when you get interest subvention schemes are available for MSMEs. But we are trying to help through making intervention on the shop floors of the MSMEs, and God willing, things should look up. But the good thing is that everybody realizes that they have to transform or they'll be out of the window. So in that sense, it's like those days are gone where you would sit in a hammock and have a nice time. Those days are gone. It's really a very fiercely competitive world and you get thrown out.
When were those
What
days
were those
there? When were
days?
those
I mean,
days?
like, we've never seen those days.
Let me say something on MSME.
When you were kids, I saw.
On MSME, the other thing that ACMA is really doing is obviously introduction of technology to companies. And if you saw what happened in the tier 1 space with the joint ventures, that's going to happen in the tier 2 space because you need to absorb technology. Otherwise, you're not going to survive. And I think tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers are aware of that. They've come forward themselves to understand where they can play a role in terms of technology, how we can sort of handle them and bring them the technologies, maybe not pass the technology on, but bring them technology opportunities.
Thank you.
Thank
One
you.
more question, can I ask?
Okay.
Sumit, go ahead. Please stand and ask.
Okay, so
You have to be
Next
competitive.
session.
Talk about
Chaturvedi from
competitiveness.
ET now. I would like to ask you one thing that studies say that many job shifts will happen or job losses will happen when we shift from ICE to EV across the world. Do you also need new skill sets in jobs
Yes, of course.
when we shift from ICE to EVs?
Absolutely.
What kind of and will there be any big layoffs you expect from your sector, or maybe change in skill sets and training needed for?
I think you'll have more jobs because the nature of the job will change. B, if you look at Industry 4.0 that's going to get implemented, there's a lot of maintenance requirements, a lot of software updation requirements, etc. So the nature of the job will change. I feel that jobs will not go away. This is a myth that jobs will go away. Jobs will change. Skilling will be required. A lot of companies are working in the area of skilling. At ACMA, we're tying up with different institutes to see how we can, facilitate this. Shradha.
So my view on this is I agree with President. There are going to be more job opportunities. And also you must realize that the whole pie is increasing. So while EV is going up, so is ICE. So everything's going to go up. There's definitely going to be different kind of skill sets that will come in, and that's about it. But nothing's going to go away. That's not happening.
One more question.
Yeah.
Well, ACMA wants India to sign FTAs with consumer countries, Africa and others.
Yeah.
That's not happening. The government is mostly negotiating FTAs with developed countries.
So we have our position on FTAs is very, very favorable. Mr. Goyal also mentioned this yesterday, and we are supporting the government in signing of FTAs with the European Union and also the UK. We have supported the government in the UAE FTA. So our position is that we believe that we are a competitive industry and more doors should be open for us. And as you have very rightly said, we have requested the government to help us with FTAs with other India-like markets such as South Africa, such as Brazil, even Iran. Okay, that's a very India-like market and a substantial market. So we've asked them to deepen the Mercosur trade agreement that we have. So and I guess it will happen because now you see, I'm hopeful that now with the baton of G20 going to Brazil, our relationships will intensify and there'll be more, and these G20, the underlying thing is getting more borderless, and I guess one of the underlying things that I think will help more trade for us. So let's hope for the best. But yes, we've been very open to signing FTAs. We have no qualms to it with that. Yes. Nice question. बोलना खड़ा होके.
Okay. Mr. Kapur and Mr. Mehta, I mean,
And how can you
and
miss the
Miss
future?
Marwah.
That's fine.
Yeah. So I mean,
Enough about your
yesterday Mr. Goyal reiterated a statement which he made last year about imports of components from
Yes.
countries. In between these comments, sometime in the past he referred to South Korea and all. So over the since last year, has there been any cutback in
Yes.
imports?
Yes.
And if you can quantify that, and the value which has been got down and the percentage,
Yes.
and what kind of projections in the next
So,
1 year?
Abhishek, thank you so much. That's a very, very important question when it comes to localization, and you know, ACMA does stand for very strong localization. We stand for Make in India, and together with SIAM, under it was Mr. Piyush who has asked to map the imports and see how much can be localized, and in 2020. Top 11 product categories that we imported. Our import was 1,20,000 crores. Okay, and we had set a target that in next 2 years we will localize 2 to 3% of that, and then in next 5 years about 15 to 16%. This was done in 2020. Okay. In 2022, we again revisit the study to find out where we are. And what I'm very happy to mention, of the 11 product categories that we had mapped, there has been a net import reduction on those items, okay, by close to 6%. So in fact, we have, in some sense, gone aggressive and doubled the achievement of what we had set a target of. And I would like to believe we are on course, okay? But also you must understand that it's a hugely dynamic environment, because since 2020, in 2022, the domestic market came back extremely strongly, okay? And the overall import also went up. Okay, but what's very, very interesting is that the rate of growth of import has been much slower than the rate in growth of the vehicle sales. Okay, so that sort of helps us out, and then we draw some solace that at least we are on track. Yeah, and then Mr. Goyal appreciated that yesterday. He said that you are localizing at an accelerated rate, but of course, I mean, it's a long drawn road, and inshallah.
So he reiterated that the imports are still going on, and he's not happy with the situation scenario. And he's saying 20% still going imports.
I mean, we can't turn the story on its head overnight. Localization is a huge effort. It takes good 3 to 4 to 5 years on every single item. And also look, while we may make an attempt at what was existing, by the time we come up, the industry is transformed, and you have low and bold, more newer products, more electronic content, So we're trying to do everything, even in the electronic front, we're trying to make an intervention, and it's happening. And seeing today's session is such a celebration. You see a confident industry, don't you? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Super.